If you've been Googling Hawaii travel tips lately, I want you to think about something. A lot of what you're finding was written years ago. Before the Maui fires changed West Maui entirely. Before Hawaii started requiring advance reservations at so many places that showing up without one is basically a plan for disappointment. Before new fees and vacation rental laws rewrote the accommodation picture island by island. Hawaii in 2026 is different in ways that matter from the Hawaii most of the internet is still describing, and I want to make sure the trip you're planning is based on what's actually real right now. Welcome back to Hawaii Travel Made Easy. I'm Marcie, and today we're talking about something I've been wanting to update for a while, a full Hawaii 101 for 2026. This is the episode you listen to before you open a single browser tab to start booking. If you've been hanging around this podcast, you know I have island-specific planning episodes that go really deep. Episode 41 is Oahu, 47 is Maui, 51 is a Big Island, and 61 is Kauai. Those are all still very much worth your time, and I'll link them in the show notes. What we're doing today is the big picture, with one specific filter: what's changed, what's new, and what the outdated advice floating around online might cost you if you follow it. All right, let's start with timing, because this question comes up constantly. When is the best time to go to Hawaii? The real answer is it depends on who you are and what you care about. I visited Hawaii during every single month across more than 40 trips, and the difference between peak season and shoulder season is significant in ways that really matter. Peak season is December through April and June through August. Packed beaches, higher prices, and fully booked hotels. If your kids are in school and you're locked into school breaks, that's your reality and it's fine. Winter is humpback whale season, and if you've never seen a humpback breach from a boat in the middle of the Pacific, I don't have adequate words for that experience. It's worth the crowds, but know what you're walking into. If you have any flexibility at all, September is my favorite month to visit Hawaii. Warm water, fewer people, and this kind of unhurried energy on the islands that just feels different from July. Shoulder season, which runs late April through May and September through mid-November, is where you'll get the best version of Hawaii without the full peak season situation. Two logistic things before I move on. First, if you haven't confirmed your driver's license is Real ID compliant, do that right now. It became required for domestic flights last year, and getting the updated version can take weeks depending on your state. Don't be the person who finds this out 2 weeks before their trip. Second, the airline situation to Hawaii is genuinely in flux right now. Alaska Airlines acquired Hawaiian Airlines in 2024, and that integration is still playing out. Routes are being shifted between the two carriers. Some seasonal Bay Area flights to Kauai are being suspended this fall, and Hawaiian is in the middle of joining the One World Alliance this year. Southwest just added a Las Vegas to Hilo route starting in August, which is great news for Big Island visitors. The point is, verify your specific route before you book and check it again closer to your trip. What was true last year is not guaranteed to still be true. One more thing on Hawaiian Airlines specifically. Starting July 1st, the complimentary meal and main cabin on most mainland to Hawaii flights is going away. It's being replaced by a paid pre-order menu developed with Chef Sheldon Simeon, who is the guy behind Tin Roof on Maui. If you've eaten there, you know the food is worth paying for. You pre-order through the app up to 20 hours before your flight. Just know it's no longer included, so don't board a 5-hour flight expecting a free sandwich and come up empty. All right, which island? This is the question that trips up first-timers more than almost anything. Each island has a completely different personality. Oahu is the most visited for a reason. It has variety. Waikiki, yes, but also Pearl Harbor, the North Shore, the Windward Side, a real city with incredible food and deeply rooted local culture. If it's your first trip and you're not sure what you want, Oahu is a strong answer because it has something for everyone. I took my son there in February, he's 12 now, and we visited the USS Arizona Memorial. And I'll tell you, that was exactly the right age for that visit. He learned about Pearl Harbor in school, but standing on that memorial, looking down at the water, watching oil still rising to the surface after more than 80 years, he was quiet the whole boat ride back. If you know 12-year-old boys, you know how significant that quiet is. He had questions for days afterward. That's what being physically there does to you. You cannot replicate it anywhere else. Episode 41 is your full Oahu planning guide. Maui is for people who want stunning scenery, beautiful beaches, and a slower pace. The road to Hana, Haleakala, the West Side resort areas. But I want to be straight with you about Maui right now because you deserve the full picture. Lahaina is not the Lahaina that existed before August 2023. Front Street and the Central Burn Zone are still a working recovery area, not somewhere to drive through and photograph. The community is still actively rebuilding. As of this spring, cranes are up, the first homes in the burn zone are being framed. Ka'anapali and Kapalua are fully operating. Lahaina Harbor has partially reopened. And something significant was just announced. Pac Whale Eco Adventures, the nonprofit ocean tour operation run by the Pacific Whale Foundation, is resuming operations from Lahaina Harbor starting June 1st. That's a real milestone for the community, and if you're booking an ocean tour on Maui, Pac Whale is worth choosing because every dollar goes directly to marine conservation and Lahaina's recovery. I did a full interview episode earlier this year with Lisa Pierce, a Maui local, and she gave me an honest, on-the-ground picture of what the island looks right now and what it needs from visitors. I'll link that episode in the show notes, and episode 47 for the full Maui planning deep dive. The Big Island is its own category entirely. It is bigger than all the other Hawaiian islands combined, and before you start planning your itinerary, I really need you to sit with that. The drive from Kona to Hilo is about 2 hours. The island has completely different climates in different parts of it. Hawaii Volcanoes National Park is one of the most extraordinary places I've ever stood. Episode 51 is for the full breakdown. And Kauai. My mom lives on Kauai, so I spend a lot of time there, and I have strong feelings about it. It's the most lush and the most dramatic. Nepali coast from a boat is the kind of thing that rearranges you a little. It still has an old Hawaii feel that the more developed islands have mostly lost. But Kauai also has some of the most competitive reservation requirements in the state right now, and if you go in unprepared, the hike or beach you had your heart set on will simply not be available. I'll talk about that in a minute. Episode 61 for the full Kauai planning guide. If it's truly your first trip, start with Oahu or Maui. They're the best introduction to what Hawaii is. Okay, this is the section where the advice has changed more than anywhere else, and I want you to really absorb this. Hawaii has advanced reservation requirements at a long and growing list of parks, beaches, and attractions. No reservation means you don't get in. Not maybe, you don't get in. As of 2026, that list includes Hanauma Bay, Haleakala Sunrise, Diamond Head, the USS Arizona Memorial, Haena State Park on Kauai, Waianapanapa on Maui, Iao Valley, Limahuli Garden, and more being added on an ongoing basis. The working assumption now is check whether a reservation is required for wherever you're planning to go every single time. Some of these book out in a way that might catch you completely off guard. Haena State Park on Kauai, which is your access point for Ke'e Beach and the start of the Kalalau Trail, goes on sale at midnight, 30 days in advance. I have set an alarm, been at my phone at midnight exactly, clicked as fast as I could, and gotten an error message because the slots were already gone. In seconds, not an exaggeration. Haleakala Sunrise opens 60 days out. The USS Arizona Memorial books 56 days in advance. I have a full dedicated episode on Hanauma Bay, that's episode 91, because the booking process there is specific enough to deserve its own conversation. And episode 98 covers Waimea Canyon and the Kauai West Side in detail, including the Haena situation. The thing I see go wrong with planning more than almost anywhere else is I talk to clients who come to me, or sometimes just reach out when it's almost too late, with a really detailed spreadsheet. And I mean truly detailed, color-coded, every hour accounted for. And I completely understand the impulse. You've saved up for this trip. You want to make the most of every day. You want to feel on top of it. But two things that almost always happen with those spreadsheets. One, the reservations they built the whole plan around can't be made anymore because the booking window closed weeks ago. And two, even if they could get everything, the schedule doesn't account for how long it actually takes to get from place to place in Hawaii. On Maui, or the Big Island especially, distances are deceiving and everything operates on a slower timeline than you're expecting. You cannot do a Haleakala Sunrise, the road to Hana, a luau, and Molokini snorkeling on the same day. That's not a Hawaii vacation. That's an endurance event that ends with everyone exhausted and nobody happy. If you want someone to go through your itinerary before any money changes hands, that's exactly what my $50 itinerary review is for. You submit your plan, I go through it with specific feedback, and return it within 2 business days. I would much rather tell you that the drive times in your plan are impossible before you've paid for a non-refundable tour than after. That's at hawaiitravelwithkids.com under Hawaii Itinerary Review, and I'll link that in the show notes. The people I see enjoy Hawaii the most book their key reservations early and leave the rest a little open. Those are the people who stumble onto the empty beach, who find the hula performance at the farmer's market, who stop for banana bread at Auntie Sandy's on the road to Hana on a total whim. That stuff can't be scheduled, and in my experience, it's usually what people remember most. So a couple of things worth knowing before you book where you're staying. First, your accommodation bill in 2026 has a new line on it. Hawaii's green fee went into effect January 1st. It's a 0.75% increase to the state's accommodation tax, bringing it to 11% total. On a $300 a night room, you're looking at about $2 extra per night. Not huge in isolation, but between that and the county taxes and the general excise tax, you're looking at roughly 18 to 19% in total taxes on top of your base rate. So build that into your real budget from the start. Second, and this one matters more, if you're planning to stay in a vacation rental through Airbnb or Vrbo, verify that the listing is legally operating before you hand over a deposit. On Maui, a law signed in late 2025 is phasing out thousands of vacation rentals in apartment-zoned areas. The full phase-out doesn't happen until 2029 to 2031, depending on location, but inventory is already shrinking as owners exit the rental market ahead of those deadlines. On Oahu, residential vacation rentals outside resort-zoned areas are essentially prohibited, and enforcement is active. On the Big Island, a mandatory registration requirement kicks in July 1st of this year. What that means practically is an unregistered or non-compliant rental can be shut down and your money can go with it. So stick with resort-zoned properties if you're not sure. Verify the listings show a tax ID and book through reputable platforms. Plenty of legal, great vacation rentals still exist in Hawaii. You just can't assume anymore without checking. All right, you're going to want to rent a car on Maui, the Big Island, and Kauai. Public transportation is not getting you to Waimea Canyon, Hawaii Volcanoes National Park, or the road to Hana. And you're going to want to book early. Hawaii rental car availability gets tight in summer in a way that can surprise you. I personally use Discount Hawaii Car Rental because they compare rates across all the major agencies, and I've consistently found better deals there than booking directly through any individual company. The link is at hawaiitravelwithkids.com under Hawaii Resources, along with everything else I'm mentioning today. Oahu is the exception. If you're staying in Waikiki and not planning to explore much, you can get by without a car. But the moment you want the North Shore or the Windward Side, you'll want one. All right, I have a full packing episode coming because this deserves more time than I'm giving it here, but the short version is you need less than you think. The things that have actually saved me across 40-plus trips to Hawaii are reef-safe sunscreen from home because Hawaii banned the harmful chemical-containing formulas, and what's available on the islands is expensive, especially at the airport. A light rain jacket, particularly if you're going to Kauai or anywhere on the road to Hana. I got caught without one on Kauai's North Shore once, on what started as a completely clear morning, and I'm still annoyed about it. And some kind of water shoe if you're going near waterfalls or lava rock coastline. After that, pack light. Hawaii is casual everywhere, including at the restaurants that sound fancy. I packed heels for dinner at Duke's in Waikiki once and wore sandals instead. My feet were significantly happier, and the heels took up space I needed for the macadamia nuts I was bringing home. So please learn from my mistakes. If you forget something, ABC stores are on every corner, and they will solve almost any problem, so don't stress about it. All right, let's move on to the luau question. Someone is always going to ask, so yes, a good luau is worth doing. No, they are not all good. There's a real difference between a luau that feels like a genuine celebration of Hawaiian culture and one that feels like an expensive buffet with some tiki torches. I did a full episode on this early on, that's episode 6, and then I came back and ranked every Oahu luau I've actually attended in episode 95. Those two together will give you the full picture of what to book and what to skip. All right, one thing I have learned from doing this long enough, the people who end up most frustrated with their Hawaii trip almost always booked everything before they had the right information. They found out the vacation rental they were so excited about is being phased out 2 weeks before check-in. They planned to do sunrise at Haleakala and then realized the reservation they thought was available had actually closed 2 months before their travel dates. They built an itinerary that looks perfect on paper and falls apart on day 2 because nobody told them that the drive from their hotel to the activity they planned actually takes 90 minutes, not 20. So I offer 60 and 90-minute planning consultations, and what I can actually do in that time is make sure none of this happens to you. Not because I know everything, but because I've been to Hawaii more than 40 times, I stay current on what's changing, and I find the logistics of the stuff super fascinating in a way that's probably a little too much for most people. So you can book that at hawaiitravelwithkids.com under Hawaii Travel Consultant. And everything I mentioned today, the reservation links, car rental comparison, island guides, all of it, is organized and kept current at hawaiitravelwithkids.com under the Hawaii Resources tab. So start there before you start Googling. Mahalo for being here today. I hope Hawaii surprises you. It usually does, when you leave a little room for it. I'll see you in the next episode. Aloha.